Hey everyone, Zeegers here. Today we're going to show you how to accomplish the Maraudon 1 pull AOE run that's located in Deathless. You can use this for a variety of things, whether it be gold farm or power level runs. I personally use it primarily for power leveling. Now in this video I'm going to break down everything from consumables to what spec you should be running, as well as the run routes and the intricacy of how we're going to pull all of these mobs and accomplish this run. For the most part throughout this entire video we are going to use rank 1 casts, anything from Fire Blast, Cone of Cold, Arcane Explosion, Nova, and Counter Spell, which only has 1 rank anyways. Now the logistics of the run, typically the run route is going to take you approximately 8 minutes to run through. The entire run should take you about 12 minutes, and looting can sometimes take you about 2 to 3 minutes in total. So personally, I keep the loot system on free-for-all. Everybody can loot really quick, it increases efficiency, and honestly, you do this for 1 to 2 hours and everybody is going to have full bags anyways. The things that I recommend you to come into the instance with, I would always highly recommend to at least have 5 health and mana potions, superior or higher, in my opinion. Aside from that, if this is the first time you're doing this run, I will also recommend perhaps a nature protection pot. There are mobs that will be casting spells on you that do nature damage. For the most part, you will be resisting them, or you'll be able to mitigate it with your shields. However, the nature protection pot could be the difference of getting your first run down, and I think that that's important to at least try to get that done. Now, I personally charge this on our realm in Bigglesworth about 10 to 12 G per person. Which I think is fairly reasonable. A lot of people will argue that, but personally speaking, this is something that not everybody can do. You're charging for the efficiency behind the run itself, not just the ability to do the dungeon itself. So into the talents here, we're going to start with the arcane tree. You can see we have 16 points in here. There are a couple of talents through this entire spec that are absolutely necessary, one of which is going to be the magic absorption. Magic absorption allows you to essentially pump your mana from all of the nature casts that will be happening within the dungeon, and this talent is very lucrative for a few other farms that we're going to be releasing on our YouTube page as well. So we have 16 right here, nothing in fire, and over to the frost side, again, a couple subjective talents that you can shift around if you'd like. I use this for a various of farm purposes, but the key parts in the frost side are going to be permafrost, improved blizzard, as well as your ice barrier. Everything past that could theoretically be shifted around. The one talent you cannot have at any point is Frostbite. Frostbite will ruin any AoE farm that you're going to do, so it's a no-go. Now, I do see a lot of people pumping in Elemental Precision with 3 of 3 or 2 of 3 or whatever the case is. I highly suggest against it. With these types of farms, you're already hit capped. When you are AoE farming a mob that is of the same level, you only need 3%. Because these guys are down in the 40s, you don't need any hit. The moment that they hit 57, you are hit capped against the mob. So it is unneeded talent unless you're trying to blend a spec for both endgame and AoE farm. So we're going to go ahead and show you how to get to all of the locations. So you're going to see as we run through, this is the main entrance of Mara. Now, where you enter is going to be different than where everybody else enters. You will be entering in with the staff of Scepter, sorry. So the Scepter of Celebres will allow you to port to the middle of Maraudon. Now, to get that scepter, you do need to do 1 quest chain. Now, the quest chain you can obtain at level 41. You may have already done it, but it's called Vile Tongue Corruption. Now, Vile Tongue Corruption can be obtained from Telendria, I believe it is, in Nigel's Point. Now, that quest alone requires you to kill 1 boss on purple and orange. Now, once you turn that in, and you could do it with 1 other person, I did it with 1 other rogue friend, and we got it done in a timely manner. Once you turn that back in, you then get 1 more additional quest to kill the princess, which is the last boss in the instance. Once you do that, you get the scepter, in which case you can start this farm. The quest that you get after you finish the 2 bosses is called Corruption of Earth and Seed, and that's what you get the Scepter from if you maybe finish the first chain but not the second chain. Now this bridge right here is kind of the crossroads of where everybody needs to go. Anybody that is being leveled goes through these 2 purple crystals and they just hug right, and there's an instance there, and that's where they go into. They just stay at the front. They don't have to do anything further. For the power leveler, you as the mage, you're going to jump down here, and this is where you're going to use the Scepter to gain access to where you start. Just like so. Now, once we get into this space, there is a little bit of a run route that you have to take. Now, the life of a gnome, there is a couple of spots within this farm itself that we get caught swimming, this being one of them, where other races don't necessarily have the same outcome. I've played around with a few things. Growth potion helps a little bit, but it's not enough to make a difference for the whole run. So deviate delights, all those sort of fun stuff doesn't really work either. So here's the start of the run here. We're going to open up with 2 rank 1 Frostbolts. For the most part throughout this entire run, we're going to be using rank 1 spells, including this next pack here with the rank 1 Nova. Now, if you're a new mage in World of Warcraft, I will make the mention going forward, only use rank 1 Nova. The reason is it does not make any fundamental difference other than the cost of mana. As you saw in the video right there, I just wanded that pack right there. We're going to pull that one with the Arcane Explosion, followed with Fire Blast, and then ending with the Counterspell. Now, you do want to use that order simply because of the way your CDs work and the distances of those mobs. Now, right away, we want to blink, and as you may have noticed, I did not refresh my Ice Barrier. I take this time here to start my mana per 5, which is those ticks right above my player frame, to get mana back. In this portion here, you should not take any damage, therefore it is wasted mana. Now, coming up to this next part, I do want to make a mention that me being a gnome, I have to take a wide route here simply because the water causes me to swim in the middle. I found a spot on this right-hand side that I can jump towards the tree, blink through, and still be running. Now, you'll notice with this quick flip back that they were halted and started to move. Now, you want to blink right there because if you wait too long, they will reset. Once you've blinked, start your Ice Barrier and get that CD rolling. This next mob that's upcoming here, we're going to use the wand to pull it into the pack on the left. You have enough time to do all of that because you have such distance on the pack behind you. Now you're going to blink again just to keep getting your distance. You're going to use blink quite often in certain cases here. Now this is one of the areas you have to be careful. Do not run through the water. You will start a swim if you are a gnome. Now these two are rank 1 Frostbolts, and I just face pull this, and again I blink. I counterspell that unit, and then I Fire Blast that one right there. At this point our Nova's back up, and this is how I'm going to pull this pack is with Nova. That pad on the left we want to be sure not to hit, and we can use a rank 1 Cone of Cold on that unit right there, which that slow and that duration should put him right back into the pack. Now that rank 1 is to just kiss that corner, and you want to hit your blink right away as well. They'll pull one another, those two packs. As you saw there, rank 1 again. You always want to be jumping when you're not super close to the mobs. The reason is a thing called leeway. When you jump or you're side strafing or moving in certain fashion, whether it be backpedal or forward, it changes how far your spells can reach. So jumping is important anytime that you want to add a little bit of distance. So again, all of that was rank 1 as what you saw right here. Here's a bit more intricacy. We do the wand pull for the corner, the Fire Blast there, and I try to get the rank 1 Arcane Explosion, which pulls both of those that you saw right at the end before the jump. Now right here, you're going to notice my little mana tick, and I started my evocate just as that mana tick was almost at the end. And the reason for that is that you get 3 ticks of your evocation in just about 2 seconds. So it's super important for efficiency, just to top your mana back up. You use quite a bit of it throughout the entire pull, so that's why you want to use it here. Now on this next pack, I do Frostbolt, Counterspell, Frostbolt. It's the fastest way to pull this corner. You can go ahead and use 3 rank 1 Frostbolts. That works totally fine as well. Now rank 1 Arcane Explosion, I face pull this one to use my blink immediately. That way they don't do damage to the ice barrier. Rank 1 Fire Blast on that, and I'm tapping the middle pack with that Arcane Explosion. Now I use Nova to here because this is long enough where they're going to break and probably turn in right into the pack again. You want to get that blink going as soon as you jump off that edge again, so you don't take any unnecessary damage, and you're going to dodge all the rest here. This is kind of the first route around the entire dungeon itself. So you'll see here we're going to kind of be where we're going to be at the end when we're completing the entire run. Now this guy right here is kind of annoying depending on when you start the dungeon. He can be in various positions. This one wasn't too bad. Sometimes he can actually be padding exactly where we are right now. Now you're going to want to start towards the edge here. And I do rank 1 on the very first round. You just want to be clumping them. Now pay attention to how I adjust my blizzards as well as where I position them. You really have to play the relocate on your blizzard the moment you see the slow applied to everybody. What may help you with that is, again, a server tick add-on, maybe nuke energy, or maybe 5-second rule. Again, those what you saw right there were all rank 1s again. A rank 1 Fire Blast for that top pack, and the rank 1 Cone of Cold for those 2 satyrs. Now I let about 2, maybe 3 ticks. Now that's about 3 right there, and I allow that pack to jump in, and then by the time that slow goes off, they should be fairly clumped one another if you just kind of sequence it that way. Now I highly recommend people doing this for the first time. Maybe when you get into this, walk the course once or twice, and if you're fortunate enough to have a second monitor, perhaps run the video while you're doing the run itself. So that was a rank 1 Frostbolt, followed by the Arcane Explosion for the 2 middle, the wand in the corner, and then I blinked and Nova'd that pack on the side. Now that should align kind of the 2 different paths here, just focal pointing right there. And we're going to use Counterspell on that corner pack and the rank 1 Cone of Cold on him. You're going to see that we're cycling a lot of the same spells, a lot of about the same 4 or 5 spells constantly. That was a Fire Blast right now there. Now I pulled the pack out super wide because you see how they kind of are clumping up together. It actually allows them to flatten the line out, and they clump a little bit as they kind of go on a 45-degree angle. So that's why I draw them out real wide to achieve that. It's just a little less clustering that I have to do when they're in certain spots that I'm going to be blizzarding, that you'll see here in a sec. Now if you find that these don't pull, you can do the rank 1 rank 1 Cone of Cold as you saw right there. Sometimes I also use a Counterspell on one of them as well. Now these stairs, you just really use these stairs to try to get them clumped up. Over time, certain mobs run faster than other ones, so this is where you really want to just try to get them together. Now I typically will only do 1 or 2 ticks of my blizzard right there, because I don't want to imbalance the pack too much. Kind of the same concept right here. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and then I'm pulling that one with a rank 1 Cone of Cold as well as Fire Blast. And here I'm going to again jump and rank 1 Arcane Explosion. I used my Counterspell on that guy that was in the corner that I didn't even need to look at. That's an advantage of Counterspell. You don't need to be facing the target, so you can use it in certain cases and not have to affect your leeway or your camera positioning. Now, this is the last time before we go back to where we're going to kill everything. I don't know if you guys saw, but I did change up a few things. I changed over to Mage Armor. I refreshed Mana, shield, as well as my ice barrier, and I refreshed my dampen magic. Now right here I kind of do 2 blizzards, 1 at the bottom of the stairs, 1 on the corner to get most effect with the blizzard. And if anything breaks through that front pack, don't be alarmed, just allow them to get close to you and maybe just throw down a Nova if they're that far. Otherwise, just start the runner again. Now you want to make sure that you don't go too far through this room that you see right here. And the reason is these satyrs can actually reset. If you go too quick through this entire route, anytime you pass that room rather, if you're too far ahead of the pack, you will reset some satyrs. So do take that in to account when you're running and trying to separate. You will, even if they're pretty much right next to you as you saw, still be able to accomplish what we just did right there. Now we use that route as a location, as you can rewind the video there if you need to see where I casted it, but there's a route right up at the top there that you can use as another cluster point. So essentially the route, the stairs, and this area right here are going to be your primary areas that you're throwing down blizzards to keep them clustered. Now you want to make sure that when you're doing blizzard right here, this is going to be a max rank now, and you can top up anything else that you might need. But when you're throwing down your blizzard, you're going to notice that I start to relocate my blizzard before the very front unit has the blizzard slow drop. And the reason for that is just pack control. I want to control the front of the pack to me on this very first wave. I want to try to get around 3 blizzards on this ramp. And the most important thing is when I'm casting this blizzard is to keep the blizzard up until the back side of the pack has been tapped with the slow. Much the same on this next part right here. It's kind of like a pendulum going back and forth. So as soon as you know that they have a fresh slow on them, you can then jump, throw it down again, and it'll bring the other side of the pack back into it, just swinging back and forth, back and forth. Now, one thing I didn't mention is when I first dropped my blizzard at the very bottom of the ramp, I actually took a step in. So as you can see right now where my model is to the left, there's kind of a little darker rock on the ground. You want to walk, just take a step or two towards that. And the reason is all of the units that are casting all of the nature casts, they will relocate and move themselves to the middle of the ramp, thus hitting all of those blizzards that we just casted. So here's where you then just go ahead and loot. If you have people that are power leveling, you just let them know that they can come in and loot. And there we are. We're done the run. Well, that's that. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you like this guide. I'm planning on doing more stuff like this in the near future. If you did happen to like this video and want to see more like it, I do encourage you guys to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and tell all your friends, including Grandma. You can check me out on Twitch, where I stream pretty much 5 days a week, at least 12 hours plus a day. So I do this live a lot, this farm as well as many others. If you have any questions or inquiries, you can always find me there, and I'd be more than happy to answer it. So thanks again, and have a great day, guys. See ya.